for those who just joined, Steph is critiquing herself in the camera mirror.
I'm not even critiquing. I'm commenting on what I'm seeing and wondering if it's okay.
There's no illusion of a mustache.
I'm like,
It
I
just
have
doesn't exist.
melasma and I was crying before, so I thought I had dark circles. Okay. Um,
All the feels. Can I just tell you that full moon, so it was on Saturday. On Sunday, I cried all day.
Whoa.
I
Release
cried all
it.
day. I used to do these release cries that would come naturally all the time, and they have not happened as frequently over the past 5-6 years. But it just came. And well, first it started because I finished that show Afterlife, that Ricky Gervais show.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Oh my God.
I just finished
really, to me,
Lioness.
like, oh, The Lioness is the best show on TV. Forget it. Lioness and Landman are the best shows on TV. But this is old. Not old, but it's a few years. And so I sobbed at the end of that, which is all about really, what are we here? We're here for one another. I mean, it's just so beautifully done. So I sobbed.
I need to watch. I'm obsessed with Ricky Gervais. He's like the funniest fucking person on the planet.
But this is so moving and it's hilarious. And then all of a sudden you're like tearing up, and then at the end you're sobbing. So it started with that, which I think I finished on Friday night, and then was like teary on Saturday. And then Sunday, it just came in like 3 big waves.
Was it like prompt or connected to a specific emotion, or just like
no,
everything was just so at the surface?
It was like, I can't say, oh, this happened and this was the catalyst. It was like there was this. It was just a kind. They say generalized anxiety. Like it was like generalized grief.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like this deep grief that wanted to move.
Yeah.
And then, but then it's interesting because then when I got on with clients on Monday and I felt, I felt grounded and I felt, more refreshed. My clients were having such a hard time. Like there were such deep things that were showing up that it was divine timing because not that I can't always get into the space, but I had really cleared so much space.
Mm-hmm.
But across the board, people in my orbit really struggling with that past full moon. So I don't know if it was just.
Why do you think that is?
I think it was real kind of breakthrough excavation energy. And I think there was also a kind of log jam to it simultaneously. So I think people were up against themselves in a way where it was like, I have to surrender. Mm-hmm. And then that moves grief in all these different, but also, which I said to you before we went live, this Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, what I have seen is that it is also tenderizing. We tend to think of Jupiter, like in astrology, people tend to think of Jupiter, in our world, everything is many exclamation points, but it can be, Jupiter expands and inflates. And so when we're dealing with Cancer, we're dealing with emotion. So it just feels like there's more waterworks available and that are flowing. And I've noticed that with this transit.
Yeah, I think it's like another layer of the transition, basically, of like I just feel like I remember in 2020, I had this vision that the next 10 years were going to be like tearing us apart to build us back up again, kind of like collectively and individually. And I feel like they're definitely this weekend and even just moving forward, there's like a significant layer of old crust.
Yes.
Like dissipated. And then now we are entering a kind of a new dawn, but it's so like tender. Like I was just writing in my journal a slow emergence.
Yeah, that feels right.
Because I was like, I can see the next vision and I can feel it. And it's like almost like my energy almost feels like Christmas morning to the next step.
Yeah.
but I'm like, okay, cool, but there's nothing that you can do to rush the process to get there.
No.
Like, I just have to hold the vision, process the feelings, be present while also moving towards like the next reality or person or however you want to like frame it. It's just like there's a clear distinction between what was and what will be. And we're in this like right now, I feel like it's a very interesting, like, ooh, like new, you know?
Yes. But also,
New
you've
and
already made
also,
the
but what
announcement.
is it?
Right. But you've already made the announcement, right? So, like, there's also
Oh,
literally for you. Yeah.
yeah.
It's fun that we can talk about that now.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so much better. It's so much better. It's also the worst. Like, I hate it.
I think you do
Uh,
want an eclipse.
I'm due in the beginning of February.
That's before the eclipse. But it's in eclipse season
I was born in
ish.
eclipse season too.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. Cool. Really chill way to live on this planet. Things don't come to me in extremes.
No, not without that Scorpio.
Not
But
at all.
also, right, you have a Cancer moon, so this
Well,
Jupiter.
I am now fully identifying with my Vedic chart.
Oh, are you?
I've transitioned. I'm trans astrological.
Identify with. So, okay, so does that make you a Sagittarius sun and a Leo moon?
Opposite. It makes me a Libra sun and a Gemini moon and Aries rising.
Oh, Vedic goes the one in before. But I think, as I understand it, it's all roads lead to Rome, meaning like
It
it's the
is very
same.
similar.
Yeah, just
Like,
different.
it's like all the placements kind of change, but the houses kind of remain the same, so that's, like, a big
Yes.
thing, and then it sort of does, like, a weird shuffle where it's like, yeah, it looks slightly different, but it ends up, yeah, like, being the same thing, um, but permission to be extra with a Gemini moon and Aries rising is what I've been waiting for my whole life. So I'm just like, "That feels better."
Okay, Scorpio and Cancer is an extra.
Well, I have Scorpio and Mercury and Scorpio still.
Yeah.
And I have Saturn in Scorpio still. So I still have my Scorpio energy. It's just in a new space.
So I think so. This is interesting because I do think there's something about, right? What did someone say to me? Like astrology is like the last thing that you can't really negotiate with, meaning like you're born when you're born,
Yeah. But
right?
then you get your
So
Vedic chart and you're like, interesting.
because it gives more freedom. I'm not stuck in, even though that's not how I approach astrology anyway. It's like, oh, this feel like I want to lean into this or I want to lean into this. I think that it's whenever we discover a new system, there's new shadings.
Yeah, it's like it shined a light on places that I was even after so many years of like being a student of astrology and having readings and really caring about
Yeah.
it so and honestly like I use it as a tool like so deeply. It's helped me so much in my life. There was still corners where I was like, but what about this aspect? And then like once I started uncovering Vedic, I was like, uh, okay, like I get it a little more and I think it's also just fun, like, after studying and knowing my own chart for, like, 20 years to kinda get a new sort of view of it
Yeah,
is also
100%.
especially at this time where, like you're saying, like and we're all saying, we're changing so much, and I feel like I'm
Yeah.
becoming a new person to have this, like, other layer added is pretty cool.
Have we done your progress chart?
So that's the other thing that I'm obsessed with, but we haven't done it. But I
Oh,
I I identify more with Progress and with Vedic
yeah,
than just with, like,
yeah,
my birth chart.
yeah.
Progress is the shit. Right now, I know my progress moon is in Capricorn, and I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. Everything is just like intensely hard work.
But also, so a natal chart is the natal promise. So it's like I had a very good friend of mine say, who's in her 50s, oh, it really is all in there. But I think sometimes if there's something acute,
Hmm.
we can feel like we're limited by it, but it's really the natal promise. It's like we
Right.
see it almost, I say this a lot to my younger clients, like what I'm saying to you is going to make more sense as you get older. Like if you look back in your 50s or 60s or 70s, or it does make more sense.
Yes.
That's the natal promise. That's like the
Yeah.
arc of a life.
I like that.
Progress is evolutionary and it
I
hits
like
certain
promise
points.
because I resonate with that when it comes to my Western chart for sure.
Like the fullness, like expressing
Yeah.
into the fullness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
But wait, why did we say I was saying that because I don't know. This has just been such a wild time.
It
Like
really is. I'm gonna let them out. They are going insane.
and
Um,
I know I'm extra sensy because I'm pregnant and, birthing a new child, but I think it's just like you're saying, it does feel like it's in the air.
it is. It's real. Are you guys gonna calm the fuck down? Okay.
Carlos, what do you want? Come up here?
Hi, Bubbles.
Carlos just tried to sit in Asher's little chair.
Come here. Go.
For those of you that have known me for a long time, it's pretty crazy that this dog is still here.
Amazing.
I mean, he's been on my public journey for me since it began.
It's
Like, is that not crazy? Carlos
close.
Carlos is as much a known entity as I am, if not more.
Healthy.
Oh, Tyler's made me mad that I'm letting him on this thing. Anyways, okay, something cultural. So, two things that I wanted to bring up with you.
Mm-hmm.
The first is that I'm like very over everyone living in extremes. And I feel like we've touched on this before, but I want to speak directly to it because I really feel like it's a huge problem. So I'll give you the how I kind of
Yeah.
realized how much I hate this. So I got introduced to a prenatal vitamin
Mm-hmm.
that all ancestral. It's like beef, bison liver, heart, like it's
Like
you get
organs stuff.
organ. Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I have been having a weird aversion to taking my vitamins, like the smell of
Mhm.
the vitamin, I'm just like this,
Yeah.
whatever the weird synthetic vitamin thing is, I'm just not feeling it right now. So I ordered these organ meat supplements and then I'm like, awesome. And this woman seems really cool. She's like a radical mama. She like, she gets it. Right? And then I
Mm-hmm.
go deep into her social media and it's like, she's like going off on how like viruses don't exist and how like fuck everyone in the government who's trying to change anything because they're still trying to make vaccines and all this different stuff.
Wait, no virus exists anywhere. Viruses are made up.
Basically, she goes, RFK is trying to make a new vaccine that's a clean vaccine, but that can't exist. And I'm just like, whatever, that's a separate issue. But like, stop trying to, it all plays into like two things. Everyone wants to make someone their savior or someone the devil.
Yes.
And nobody can fluctuate in between or try to do anything incrementally because if they do that, then it points to one of two categories of things.
Yeah.
And then when she was saying all of this, she's like, also, before you make a new vaccine, go ahead and prove that viruses exist.
Wait, what? Yeah.
So I'm like, what? Like, and then I realized that there's a faction of people who are like so radical that they don't think that viruses exist. And so I'm like, explain when you get a virus, like I don't understand. And I don't even
Wait,
have
she
any
does not believe bacteria exists as well?
bacterial infections exist, but not viruses in this worldview.
Is it a semantics thing? I'm very confused.
I'm confused too. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. But what it was bringing up for me was like, why do you have to live in such an extreme viewpoint? Like,
Because it's a way
what if you
it's the
get a
illusion
virus?
of I think it's like the illusion of control and the illusion of I am I am superior. This belief system inoculates me
No
from
pun
any
intended.
vulnerability. From any vulnerability. I've been thinking about this a lot in terms of health and wellness and how this idea that if we do XYZ, da, 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 what there's never going to be an ailment. There's
Exactly.
never going to be. So my relationship to dis-ease and illness is that I don't have fear of it.
Mhm.
I'm constantly aware of fear of death that surfaces, but
Mhm.
also also at the same time don't have fear of death. Like it's this kind of, I move through both of those, but there's something here about invulnerability, which
Mm-hmm.
seems frankly like a young perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, like, if you're on this earth long enough, you are going to experience some version of dis-ease or illness, or even if it's a cold or a flu, and doesn't that also boost our immune system? Like, it just seems like we have developed also a radical, in our safetyism, a radical fear of getting sick.
Mm-hmm. I mean, antibacterial hand soap is like the perfect example of how we're so afraid of germs. Like everything someone touches, they're constantly going like this. Like,
Right, like, I
calm,
think about sometimes, like,
calm
I
down.
when I touch at the gym, it's probably even though it's, like, it's not the gym is clean, but it's, like, I'm sure, but I don't know, I think that I control is everywhere, and what are we really trying to control? What are we really trying to stave off? What is and then we've talked about this, there's a whole superiority thing. There's superiority around those who really promote, pharmaceuticals and, that kind of allopathic medicine. But then equally, there's an ego and a judgment around those that I see on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I mean, we touched on this on our last call, but I think underneath, do we all feel so insecure just being humans on this earth that we need to invent ways in which we are invulnerable to the forces beyond our control?
But it's such a lie that you tell yourself because, like, take someone on the allopathic side, for
Mhm,
example.
mhm.
You can take a million pills and you still might not solve the root of the problem.
I'm in agreement with you,
And
but the
then on the
same
other
token,
side too,
yeah,
the people
yeah.
who only want to take vitamins. So you're telling me that if you break your leg and have to go under for surgery, you're going to ask for turmeric?
No,
Like, no.
yeah, I just think there is these extreme, like, there i there are these extremes, and I just I noticed this control is the master addiction, right? And so we see it in all these avenues. No, a mother has to work. No, a mother shouldn't work. I mean, outside the home, because it's a full-time job plus that, right? To be with your kids. So I just think these walls and these judgments around prescriptive lifestyles is
Yeah.
what's making us ill. And it's what's
Yeah.
separating us from one another. And it's like, I think most people
Yeah.
are doing the best they can, given whatever information they have, navigating life, navigating relationships, like sometimes I see people and I see what they're promoting, and I'm like, what about someone who's like working two jobs and has three kids and has to order in food? And yeah, there may be canola oil in it, but they're keeping above board. Like it's just a very prescriptive lifestyle based on this very kind of controlled perspective.
Mhm.
And what what is it for? What is the intention? What is meaning? Is it fear that is driving it?
Mm.
And I do worry that
I think
in our culture.
anger. I think it's anger that's driving it. I think
Oh,
that
that's interesting.
people who live in that extreme are so, and I get the anger. I see it too. I understand being
Anger
mad
at whom or what?
at the toxicity of the world, at
Yes, no, I
the
understand that.
lies that we're told, at the manipulation, at the fucking stupidity of so many
Yes,
entities
I get that.
and honestly, so many people. Like, it's fucking annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But like then to have the anger blind you from being able to still stay in the unknown and still be curious is the thing that you're talking about, is the undoing. It's like there's still goodness to be found. There's still truth to be uncovered. There's still things that can break through the lies or the manipulation. And there's ways, I think, to know things without having to know things, if that makes sense.
Right. Yes. And I think, it also is like where interest lies. Like I personally would rather read a novel, take a hike, go to a museum, watch a beautiful film than listen to, data on outcomes for different health practices. That's just not, it's not a personal interest of mine. So that could be a part of it. Like
Right.
that's not soul filling to me. I'd rather have a beautiful conversation with a friend. That is more nourishing to me than, you know, learning about what butyrate or whatever does to your body or whatever. Like I'm just not as interested. Are you okay?
Yeah, sorry, I just sorry. Okay.
So
Sorry.
that could be part of it, right? Like I've talked about this. I work out, I eat relatively clean, da da. Like, but I don't, I'm not really interested in, I'm interested in people's quirks. I'm interested in what someone's struggling with, what their hopes are, what their fears are, who they are as a human being. And I think everything has gotten put into these boxes of these are your political beliefs and so this is who you are. And this is what medical choices you make. So this is who you are. And it's like, I just, it's uninteresting to me. I
Well,
want to know
it's
who someone
just
is as a human being. What do they struggle with? What are they scared of? What is their most beautiful childhood memory? How are they navigating being a human being in this crazy world?
yes, and somebody who wants to talk about that from a personal perspective and is trying to do their best, that's interesting. But being prescriptive and telling you you're wrong or bad for doing it a different way, that's what you're saying is not interesting. And
Well,
I
I'm
think like
saying it's like repellent to me. It's literally repellent. It's like, it's not, it, it doesn't draw me. It's literally, it's not magnetic to me. It doesn't draw me. I go click next.
see, I have that reaction with like the anger piece. Like when you're talking about like you don't want to read about, you're not interested in reading like the ingredients of something or like I
No,
fucking get off.
I do read the ingredients. I'm saying like, if I don't want to listen to a 2-hour podcast like around what this molecule does to
Yeah,
I read all the, Daniel knows he's not supposed to
that's what
bring
I meant.
anything in the house with like more than 2 ingredients. Yeah, that's, I do that, but I don't want to talk about it. It's the same way I feel about clothing. Like I can find clothing beautiful, but I don't personally want to have a discussion about it.
See, I do like listening to that like dorky sciency fucking
That's
shit.
amazing. Yeah.
But my point is that then to go online or to go around your life and have this like indignant knowing about this thing and then start shaming everyone for not knowing it or yelling at the leaders. This is where I think it gets for me, yelling at the leaders to like fix it or whatever.
Mhm.
It's like, yes, of course, we all want to fucking snap our fingers and be like,
Mhm.
stop poisoning the air and stop poisoning the water. We all want that. But
Yeah.
like, and we're doing our best to like rattle the cages and make different choices and shop and
Yeah.
vote, all the
Yes.
things that are available to us to do. Like that's exists, right? But
Yeah.
like in your day-to-day life, and I think this is where you and I kind of are like the humanist on that level. It's
Mhm.
like you're talking about the emotional experience, and I'm saying, what are the choices that you are making that are positive, that have nothing to do with a leader or have nothing to do in either
Yes.
in making them the savior or making them the enemy. Who gives a fuck about them? how are you in the everyday to day? Because then you're able to have like a positive relationship to these things instead of just always being angry. Do I get mad that, like you're saying, some people have to buy food that's
Mhm.
like has poisonous oil in it because that's all they can afford? Yeah, it's fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Mhm.
But am I gonna like go and be like, fuck this guy for not immediately fixing it right now? It's like we're talking about a food system that has been corrupt for hundreds of years. Like,
Mhm.
why are you acting like this? Like
I don't it's a bit yeah.
this is
I
where
would
I
say since World War II, or since what? No, since, like, the '50s.
okay, for 80
Yeah,
years,
yes.
whatever.
Yes, no, yes, that's me being annoying. But I think that there is something I just the extremes get amplified in
Yeah.
all different ways, and the middle path, like that Buddhist philosophy of the middle path seems to me
Mhm.
what is most interesting and most compelling.
And it keeps you learning and it keeps you open to the unknown circumstance, right? Like if we're talking about the people who are, you know, so sure that Western medicine will kill you and then they need a painkiller or vice versa. It's like, what do you do in that moment? What do you do in that moment if you've lived your entire life like singing the battle cry against a side and then you need that side? How do you rectify that?
Right, but also, like, to what outcome, right? It's like I talked about this last time, like, my dad's 81, he's in pretty great shape, it's all allopathic, he's stuck
Mm,
in the '90s. If he goes tomorrow, my dad had a great life. What's the problem?
right. Right.
What, like, my dad like, in the scheme of things, he's been through some shit, but, like and I don't make those choices, but, like, if I get to 81 and I'm like he is, I'm good.
Yeah.
I feel good about so I guess that, like, what is the objective and what is the perspective? Now, I think a lot of that has to do with my dad is a get up and go person. He's an
Right.
optimist. He's a take charge person. He meets the day, you know, that's who he is. And I would say that's a big function. My mother, who has struggled her entire life just being a human being on this planet and like is has a lot of rage and a lot of anger, and it's very, very challenging for us right now as a family, like, also allopathic,
Right.
but it's like, I don't wanna end, I'd rather end up the way my dad like, you know what I'm saying? So I think the emotional piece is really important, but that's also, like, what I'm seeing in a very intimate way, that, like, there's a lot more factors than what we just put into our body,
Yeah.
right? And, like, I don't know. I just don't wanna dismiss anyone based on who they vote for, what they put in their body. I just wanna hear who they are as human beings, and then do I connect or not connect?
Right. Which brings me to my next subject,
Mhm, mhm,
which is that I was listening to a famous singer
mhm.
on her podcast, Lily Allen, who I was like such a big fan of, talk about how she's had 5 abortions, and then her partner was laughing and was like, "Oh my god, like I've had 5 abortions too." And like the way
Podcast
that
partner.
yeah, like they were on a Zoom call kinda like this, but they were just
Mhm,
both laughing back and about how many abortions they've had. And it was like making me feel so uncomfortable and so sad.
mhm.
And this
I
is
don't know
like
anyone who hasn't struggled with that choice, like, in a profound way. Like, clients, people in my life, who've made that decision. I don't know anyone who is cavalier about that.
it's a very sad experience, and it's a difficult choice to make. I would imagine. I've never done it. I've helped someone go
Mhm,
through it.
mhm,
And there is this other faction, and I almost feel like it is aligned with like the extreme left
mhm,
perspective.
mhm,
That it's so like funny and whatever. And they were just talking about it in this way that was like, I think from their perspective, they just felt like so empowered and like they were like, yeah, I just get them like I fucking do whatever the fuck I want. And, da, da, da. And I'm just like, is this the is this the message of femininity that we're trying to like? It felt so again
Yeah.
extreme to
Yeah.
me that I was like, this is not a cute place to live either. Like, and I'm not someone who's like, oh, I want to take abortion away from people.
Yeah.
That's also fucking crazy. But to be able to, like you're saying, be in the middle and understand that it's not an easy thing to come by and that it is a serious decision if you're even remotely connected to your body,
Yes.
then
We're
why
in a
does it?
spiritual crisis, like a genuine
Yeah.
spiritual crisis around what our values are
Yeah.
and how we relate to being human beings. And like, you know how I feel about like animal rescue. And it's like, it's the same thing. It's like, we, we're not, we're divorced from ourselves. And so that makes us divorced from the natural world. It makes us
Mm-hmm.
divorced from nature and ecosystems and animals. And the world is alive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I am a believer that the world is alive, that it is not just, we are not the only sentient beings, right? And so what I hear in that is only my experience matters in the way that she like, and so, okay, so this is kind of interesting in terms of Venus and that Venus Jupiter conjunction in Cancer, which hadn't happened for 20 something years and we're still kind of in, is that it, because Venus is values. People think of it as love and money, but underneath it, it's values. And it's like, do we value emotional connection? Do we value family? There is, on top of like, our culture is so selfish and our culture is so narcissistic and, all of that. It's like a lot of the messaging out there is extreme boundaries, cut people off, don't, and it's like,
Right.
so that's an extreme, that's just like that communication around that topic is an extreme version of that. I I'm cavalier. Only what matters to me matters and what I need in any given moment. And I'm not like, it feels good to do things for other people,
Mm-hmm.
period, non-transactionally, right? It's like Daniel is the king of this. Like, he is the most giving person. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm totally here. I'm listening. I'm just had to text my nanny.
But I was, I was just thinking about this because someone I grew up with, the first 13 years of my life was murdered
Right.
recently. And, I hadn't spoken to this person in 30 years, but my childhood community in New York City was very close with this person, very, very, very close. And just watching the way that they're all showing up for one another and like in that, there's something that happens like it happened in Texas with the floods. There is this like coming together and it feels good to care about other people and do things for other people. And name me influencers who are promoting that. Non-transactionally, not about what you get from it, not about putting it on social media, not about getting brownie points, who are just like, it feels really good. It's like Tony Robbins, always said, if you are not doing well, go give or do something for someone.
Totally.
What the fuck happened to that?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Or like,
and I
or like garden, like take care of an animal, take care of the land, like
right. So
give
like what?
something.
Yeah. So what is, Jupiter's generosity? It's giving, right? And so we often think about like giving money, but there's something that has really promotionally been lost in everything being transactional.
And also you're making me just really see and hyper focus on how it's not only transactional, but it's like extractive. Like everything is
Correct.
that.
Correct. So it's like, you know, our morals are askew, our values are askew. And the promotion of like financial success based like, okay, for example, a lot of Americans, younger Americans are obsessed with this idea of moving to Europe. Okay. And
They like act like Europe is a problemless,
it's on fire right now, literally on fire, but that's a separate issue.
but they act like it's a problemless one thing, not like 27 different countries with all their own governments and all their own issues and all of the same shit.
There's so many
Different.
issues going on in Europe. And if you speak
Yeah.
to people who are European, right? But one of the things, Chris Arnott, I love him so much. But one of the things he writes a lot about is high trust societies. And that part of what, makes someplace like, which I haven't been, but like Scandinavia, a lot of that comes from it being a high trust society, right? Like women can leave a stroller outside of a coffee shop, walk into a coffee shop, and it doesn't even occur to them that something could happen to their
Oh, I
child,
love
right?
that.
There is an uptick in crime happening across Europe. So I'm not saying it's Pollyanna. I'm saying the root of that is high trust society. In a high trust society, someone was set on fire in New York City subway. Nobody did anything about it,
Fucking
right?
insane.
Like, so it, w- there's the ecosystem of nature, but then there's the ecosystem of society and people showing up for one another, Venus conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, for no other reason than it builds a high trust society and one that we want to live in when we look out for one another. And we are
Mhm.
so, in many Europeans, there's not this like gate, I'm behind a gate. I want a house and it's behind a gate and I'm separate from everybody. I say this as someone who lives on 17 acres, but there's no like my neighbors can just come onto my, right? Like, but there's something there that I've been thinking a lot about. And even like, growing up in New York, but then especially when I got older and moved down to the East Village, there was this like deep community feel. Like people showed up for one another. Like even there was this guy like Benny, and he was like kind of mafia, but like he also installed my air conditioning unit when I needed it. And like people looked out for one another. I feel like that isn't promoted. It's
Well,
because
because nobody's paying attention either.
right. They're on their phones. They're not looking out. Oh, like one of the things that made me fall in love with Daniel is we'd be driving somewhere. He'd see someone like fall like down on the road and he'd like stop and check on them. And he was like,
Yeah.
they're a vet. Like you know, he's like, I can't take them back because if I take them back, they may get kicked out of the vet housing because they're drunk, but like that awareness that he
Mhm.
has. And I just, like I said, name me one influencer who is not just like be kind because there's no financial incentive. And I don't know how we fix that, but the key to longevity, bring this full circle, the key to health and longevity is faith, family, and community.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you take a million pills, but you are lonely at your core
Yeah.
and feel sad. That is going to weigh on your body. We don't think about ecosystems or how
Yeah.
like we impact the environment, but also how we impact neighbors, right?
Mhm.
It's like there's just something in here that. So I was watching the Taylor Travis thing. I'm not a
You're
Swiftie, but I was
obsessed.
watching.
You're obsessed.
Well, I'm not a Swiftie, and I definitely don't know football. But I was really struck with how strong each of their family units seem to be,
Yeah.
and the orbit of that, and how they seem to have this like support network as human beings.
Yeah.
And it's
I mean, don't you remember when Taylor's brother burned his Yeezys because Kanye came for Taylor? It was like a viral
no,
video.
no, I'm not a Swiftie. I don't know the
Kanye
Swiftie
like
thing.
burned his Yeezys.
No, I don't know the Swiftie things, but I was just really struck by that and like the immediate sense of, support network. And like, I don't know. Do you hear people talk about that all the time? I don't.
Well, Tyler and I talk about all the time how we wish we had more of that. Like my dad just and we feel why I'm bringing that up is because we feel the lack of that. And
Yeah.
like want to be parents to our children who provide that on the other side. And like
Yeah, well, that's right.
we can't get it back now. You know, we can't create a different dynamic for our family of origin. We can't bring our moms back from the dead, you know? Like there's just
Right.
things that we can't do, but having an understanding and an awareness that that is something that is so deeply missed in our reality is something that we talk about all the time of like wanting to be old people who create that.
Well, like my oldest sister, so my niece and nephew, my niece is starting college at the end of the month, which is just
What?
crazy. I can't believe she's gonna be 18. Or she's 18. It's so crazy. But
You're like,
so
am I not 18?
so crazy. But so my sister, so we grew up in Manhattan and my parents out of their own stuff, you know, were isolated people by and large. They were both basically emotional refugees, you know?
Hmm.
And we were raised in a really insulated, i- isolated way. And my sister, when she had her kids, was like, I want something different for them. So she moved to this small town in Colorado. And it's like, it's amazing how many like additional caregivers they have in their community and extended community, and how, even my sister's friends from growing up, from college, from business school, they're all this extended network. And I see the effect of that on my niece and nephew,
Mhm.
who feel that they have a big support network. It does make a difference. Like
It
I really feel like it makes a difference. And she has a Cancer moon, my sister, and she's an Aquarius, so like she likes gatherings and but it's really remarkable, because she chose this town because it has that.
yeah. And that used to be the norm, by the way.
I
Like,
Yes,
it's
yes,
only very
yes.
recently where this has been the setup, and it's just not it's like you're saying, it doesn't help people thrive. It doesn't help people feel live longer or, even just like, we used to just go and, like, visit our friends,
Pop
like,
in. I
just
tell this
stop
all the time.
by,
The pop
just
in, the
stopping
pop
by.
in. Yep,
I love to stop by.
the best.
Nobody fucking does that anymore.
Yeah,
It's like, "I'm gonna text you, see if you're home, and if you don't text me, then you're ignoring me," and then it just becomes this, like, insane, like, neurotic separatism of just, like,
that's what I'm
community.
talking about. But there's this. I haven't been, but there's this community right outside of Atlanta. It's called Serenbe. Have you read about it?
Mm-mm.
It's it's beautiful. You have houses, you have apartments, you have organic farm on the property, and it just seems like so idyllic. And I spoke to someone who lives there and they're like, it is this great. And
Mm.
I'm like, I think there is actually, I wrote a pilot about this. I think that there is like the
Yeah.
decade. I think that there is going to be a movement towards building back communities, but ex-Serbia. They may be in cities, and like I see what's happening in Nashville and how they're really making these walkable neighborhoods and like a lot of greenery and a lot of parks and all of that. But I do think even in the outskirts or in more rural areas, there is going to be a rise in communal living, because I think we have hit peak loneliness. And I personally would rather have less, but feel that I can knock on my neighbor's door and feel a sense of community.
I mean, that's how me and Carson met, is we lived
Yeah.
on 2 small houses on
Yeah.
the same piece of land in Topanga, and we, like, talk about it all the time, how that was, like, the best.
Yeah. I really think
It was like us,
that's,
other family, and we all, like, shared an electric bill,
but
and it
don't
was
you think
great.
like without it having to be a fortune, and it can still be aesthetically lovely, right?
Totally.
But I just, I feel like there's this, how like you have like these golf club communities, but like young, creative, not golf.
if you're asking me to build a house on your 17 acres and live in it, I will do that.
That's my I don't have the capital, but that is my vision. Daniel and I talk about it all the time. Like, w- I I want to clear that brush. I want to build smaller homes so people can come stay. If
Yeah.
there's any kind of, I just don't have the capital yet, but like that, I have a very strong vision for it.
Yeah.
And for that reason, and then like my sisters and I are like talking about, well, like long term, what do we want to do? We want to buy a property that we all have homes on
Yeah.
and can like took a lot of work to work on my sisterhood to get to this place. But I
Mhm.
just think, there's a lot of only children out there. There's a lot like there's I just think that like when we talk about wellness, we talk about psychology, but we don't talk about emotional well-being of feeling connected, feeling we're in community, feeling, again, that's not transactional. And I
Mhm.
think that is a big part of the illness of our society.
There's definitely an uptick in, like, at least, like, mom communities,
Yeah,
like,
I bet. Yeah.
I know of at least, like, 3 budding mom communities
Mhm.
because of exactly what you're talking about, where I think the place where you notice the vulnerability the most is in new motherhood, is in when
Yeah.
you have a like, as individuals, we know that we're lonely or we're that like, even when you're in a couple, you're like, "Oh, it would be so nice to have, like, my
Yeah.
friends are" right? You know that, but you're an adult and you're self-sufficient, you're figuring it out, and you have enough
Yes.
people around to make it work, whatever. But when, like, the new motherhood thing happens and the family thing happens, it's like, first, you're totally isolated, you're in a new experience, you have no support, you're freaking out, you
Mhm.
can't work, and your partner has to work, and then you're alone, and it is just so hard, and I
Mhm.
think that because of how unnatural that is, there's just been, like, the response and uprising of community organizers
Wait, is that you or
was
me?
like, I had no idea what this was gonna be like, and then suddenly I was a new mom, and I was like, "Help." Like,
Mhm.
somebody talk to me and give me a space to gather, and so I love that that's happening because 20 years ago, the same thing was happening to women, but everyone was just
We are moving in the right direction. Wait, are you frozen? Is that me?
okay.
Are you frozen? Are you there? Hello,
Dan
hello. I'm here.
oh,
Oh, wait, I'm
are you
here.
there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I got
Mhm.
I got bounced.
You got bounced? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Good. I think we are moving. I just want to be positive. Like, I do think we are moving in that positive direction.
Yeah, because it's like it's hit a tipping point where people can
Mhm.
no longer just accept, for example, I have postpartum depression, I just take my pills and that's just what I am. It's like that's not good enough. Like I'm not
Mhm.
saying the individual is doing something wrong, they're doing their best. What I'm saying is as a collective for us to
Yeah.
accept that that is not good enough. And I honestly feel like that's kind of a big reason, not just the postpartum thing, but kind of what you were saying before about people not being able to say, like, just be kind or just have like that
Mhm.
action. Like, it's almost like we can't skip to that part. We have to go through the mess right now of accepting that, like,
100%.
we have to talk about how people are fucking stupid and how things are dumb and how
Yes, yes,
mad we
yes.
are. And we have to share about that. And we can't bypass the reality of we were talking this morning, we have all this land over here, and we're like, "Whoa, I bet, like, this was one parcel," and I was
Mm.
like, "Why did the house get built over here?" We were kind of doing
Yeah.
this, like, historical exercise, and we're like, "Oh, they have to put in fucking, like, no build laws because people are dumb and have no taste and build monstrosities in beautiful places." Just as an example, it's like, okay, why don't we have rights? Because they had to take them from us because 'cause we're fucking idiots, So it's like, we have to kind of, like, understand that we have a conscious, moral, ethical responsibility to like say that we're not doing good enough and do better
Yeah.
together before we can be like love and light. But like I love everyone, like I love humans and their souls and I want us to all come together and be happy. But and I also am like, don't be lazy and don't be stupid. You know what I mean? Like I just feel like we have to be
Yeah.
able to say that and talk about those things before we can skip ahead to the next part.
I uh, I completely agree. So I mean, I have hope. I think it's a good thing overall, and I think it's a values adjustment.
Yeah. And we've
You
been
know,
in
Pluto and
for like
Aquarius.
a few years.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's coming. Wait, what were we gonna say about Pluto and Aquarius?
Well, I think Aquarius is like, it's not hive mind, but it's like thinking of the collective. So it's almost like there needs to be a death of the way we've approached that so it can be reborn.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we're going through a real change and transition. And I think we've thought historically, oh, that happens in cities because suburbia, everybody's, behind there. And then rural, everyone's just far apart. But I think I know of all these new initiatives to build community back in even rural places. And I just think the sense of not the psychological profiling, but the loneliness piece in terms of health is really underexplored. And I also think, listen, I've lived in extremely affluent worlds and I've lived in, blue collar world and there is a difference.
Hmm.
Affluence tends to breed you take care of yourself because if you can just afford to pay someone to do it, it's very different, but that's not going to solve for the loneliness piece because it feels really good when someone has a baby to just go to their house and sit with them and say, "Can I hold the baby while you take a shower?" Yes, you could
Totally.
pay someone to do that, but it's very different than having your best friend come over and say, "Let me just hold the baby, go take a shower."
100%.
And, that is more common in more blue collar homes because
Hmm.
you can't just rush to paying for something.
Hmm.
And, that there is something about that, like, I think that, and because we are living in an era of wealth porn and wanting more and more separation, and this person is in you know, I hear younger people say it. I want to be an influencer and I want to live in a 12,000 square foot home. What's in the home? What's
What are you
happening in the home?
But what are you influencing?
Yeah, no, I know all of that. And it's just like that,
Like, what does that
that
fucking mean?
I honestly don't even know. But it's that's what we have. That is what we have set our younger people up for, not like, you know, we used to joke like I'm supposed to be a lawyer or a doctor, but at least that like in its essence is supposed to be a service profession,
Totally.
right? And skill based, by the way, also
Yeah.
skill based, right? It's like there's something, you know, it, I don't know, there's just something that we're not actually talking about because the focus is on self promotion and transaction and I don't have the answers for it, but I do think we are starting to move in that positive direction. But we need a high trust society. I don't know how you fix that. But that's a
I
big part
remember
of it.
when I was living in New York, I was like in my early 20s. I was already in LA, but I moved back to New York to date someone for like 4 months. And I was on the subway going to the Bowery for a concert at
Mhm,
like 11 p.m. I was like
mhm,
going to the concert,
mhm, mhm.
and there was a really creepy guy on the subway, and I could tell that he was locked on me
Yeah,
and like staring at me in a way that was like fucking scary. And so I was
yeah,
like, I knew what my stop was, but I was like, but I also knew that the subway stops at that time were like pretty empty, especially in that part of the city. So I like faked him out and like got off and then jumped right back on. And he got off too, which I knew he would. And then I
yeah,
jumped right back on as the doors were closing. And then he stood there looking like so befuddled and confused. But like it was clearly that he was going to fucking attack me.
yeah.
And then as soon
Ah,
as I got back into the train car, these two other guys were like, "Oh shit." And I was like, "Yeah, he was about to fuck me up."
yeah.
And they were like, "Why didn't you say something? We would have fucking had your back. Like, if he was
Mhm,
looking at you, you felt uncomfortable, we would have fucking killed that guy." Like, they were so ready
mhm.
to like take care of me, but they weren't seeing what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Like, they were completely unaware because the guy was not doing anything, just staring at me in, like,
Yeah.
a freaky,
But you
fucked
knew.
up way. I
But
knew.
you knew. Uh-huh.
That's why I jumped back off and jumped back on because I was like, "This is my only chance."
Mhm.
I didn't even think to tell these other guys, "This guy's creeping me out. Can you fuck?" But now I
Mhm.
know that it's almost like the community won't rise to meet you, or at least they weren't gonna do it but if I had asked them, they would have been right there. So it's like, that was a lesson for me, and that, like,
Yeah.
tap the people around you,
Yeah.
remind them that's what we're
Yeah.
here for. Tell them you need help, and you'll be
Yes.
surprised at who's willing to help you if they're around, but they might
Yes.
not volunteer it, which is, I think, more to your point, which is like they should be volunteering it. But that was a very sensitive, heightened awareness that I had that, like, I didn't blame them for not seeing it, but I was grateful that they reminded me that there's support around me even when I'm not aware of it.
Yeah. And
It was really scary.
I that sounds really I've been in situations like that, and it's really, really scary. Like, even Daniel dropped me off at Sprouts and then just, like, drove, like, up the road to get something, and I stepped outside Sprouts, got the stuff, stepped outside Sprouts, and was waiting for him to bring the car around, and I called him, and I was like, I don't know, there's dark energy, right? And, like, sometimes I think, am I being, and he's like, "I'm literally 2 minutes away, I'm picking you up." And he, without me saying who the person was, he knew exactly. He's like, "No, no, that guy is that's dark energy." Like
Wow.
that. Yeah, like, but but in New York City subways, I definitely experienced it. I experienced it when I was studying abroad in Florence. I had a really dark experience. Not It didn't get all of it, but it freaked me out. But I think that this is I just think it's an important part of us feeling a sense of well-being, that
Yeah.
we can rely on one another.
Yeah.
And
Even just those acute moments bring up so much fear and anxiety. Like,
yeah,
imagine walking around 24/7 like that. I mean, that
yeah,
would make me sick on, like, just that.
yeah, 100%. Should we open it up?
Yeah, let's open it up. I just wanna see if my nanny's coming back. Sorry.
Speaking of,
I was I asked her to do something kind of different, which is, like, walk him around till he falls asleep.
did she
So,
text you? Did she send photos?
no, she said they're coming back, but they're not back yet, so I wonder if that's what's happening.
Um, Anybody have any thoughts or opinions or constructive criticism?
Yeah, I just wanna say I started this off very emotional because I'm pregnant and um I got into a little argument with my baby daddy, so I feel like it took me, like, an hour to warm up, but I'll be better next week.
You are perfect exactly as you are. It's real
I was, like,
life.
emotionally distracted and distraught for the first, like, 20 minutes, like, you were talking, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Why do we have to fight?" But that's part of I mean, I gotta get comfortable
Mm,
having those moments of friction in order to make way for growth. Like, my
100%.
instinct is to wanna, like, fix it right away, but part of trying to do that, like, short circuits the processing and short circuits the healing, and that's just, like, my own work is I have to be like, "No, let it suck for a second because he's gotta think, you've gotta feel, he's gotta feel, then you can come back together and repair," but to try to repair in the moment, it's not always the best way to do it.
100%.
So
Yeah.
codependent. I'm a Libra sun.
How about you have a seventh house sun in Western?
Yeah. It's still in the 7th house in Libra in Vedic, so it's like double duty. It's like worse. I love
Um,
this. I'm gonna go talk about Vedic all the time, and then you're just gonna try to convince me to pull me back to Western. I love this. Let's do this.
Enjoy Beta. No judgment.
No, they're
Anybody
all
have
great.
any thoughts?
Feelings, experiences you wanna share? Anything? No judgment if you don't. We love you guys for coming
We
in
didn't
and
announce it on Instagram, but we still have 21 people.
but we will. We're going to. We're gonna do that next week.
Yes.
Mercury's still shadowy, so we're still figuring life out, but
Because we're
we're
going to
gonna
have it all figured out when it's out of shadow.
when
Everything's
it's
going to
out
be
of
figured
shadow,
out.
like, suddenly we're gonna be, like, perfect.
100%.
Look at this thing.
So beautiful.
Oh my god.
Oh,
It's so
what's that beep?
intense. It's the garage. I don't know. Figuring it out.
Ah,
See, like,
oh, look at that view.
I know it's really pretty.
That's really
I
pretty.
got that. You like that? The moon tarot
Yeah,
type.
I love it.
Uh,
You have
all right.
really good
Well,
karma.
we did it. We nap.
We
Oh,
did
I
it.
also got a fun tagline for nap time when
Yeah,
we're more tired is where we take a break to rest and connect.
love it.
Sometimes we're doing nap time, which I feel like today was more of a nap time.
Well, nap time, and sometimes we're doing we have notes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
agreed.
depends on like what vibe we're in.
100%.
Okay, well, I love you so much.
Love you so
I
much.
hope everyone enjoyed this chat and
We'll see you soon.
see you next time.
I love
Bye.